All right, welcome everybody to day 2 of the new format here on the channel. If you're new, hello, welcome. My name is Justin. Most people call me GDT. At this point now, I know what happens today, but you don't, so stay tuned. Let's trade. All right, guys, so first trade of the day here was on KZR. You can see it was halted. You can see it was hitting on the scanner. Well, it actually hit on the scanner into that halt, and I decided I was going to play it if we got a little bit of a pop here on the halt open. So first entry there was around 1360, and we'll see what happens from here. I thought it was maybe going to do a fake little pop and then drop right away, but it ended up going a little bit more up through 14 there. So I'm watching it here. I'm watching the level 2, the time and sales, waiting for that spot to try and add some shares. Put the order out there. So got the ad there at 14.10. So now have a 200 share short position here on KZR with an average of 13.85. And of course, the goal here is to get the covers or the partials below both entries, because then you're making money on both parts of the trade. And this one, I decided I just wanted to take the whole thing because of the halts, because it has that potential to make that kind of huge run that can really hurt if you get on the wrong side of it. So this one, you'll see in a minute or two here that we are going to take the entire position off at once instead of doing a partial, but on this one that was purposeful, not just the wrong type of trading here. But you can see on the scanner it's still up in the 30s, hitting there right below me here on the positive I call it I3, but it's actually I cubed on the positive I3 intensity scanner. So now we're starting to see it bounce off of 1360, bounce off of 1360 a little bit. So I'm starting to put a limit order in there with a cover to get ready to buy if it breaks down through that 1360, which was my first entry. So if you look over there on the right on the order entry, I'm getting it set up at 1360 with all 200 shares, and my mouse is on the buy button, trying to see if we can get that flush down here through both entries, and really looking back towards the halt price. Towards the halt price would have been pretty nice. So it's kind of hanging here at 1360, hanging here at 1360. I'm getting a little bit worried that it's going to bounce off that and make a secondary move. So I'm even more convicted on just buying the full position here. You can see I move my cursor back and forth a little bit. Should I just take it? I don't know. Should I wait for 1360? Not 100% sure. Eventually I decide on, you know what, just wait for 1360. It's a pretty good setup. If we get that breakdown through 1360, we'll probably even do a little bit better. I considered taking a partial there, but once again, I didn't want to be in this one. So there's the break of 1360. We click that limit at 1360, and we get a pretty good fill at 1344 for plus $82 on that one. And if you guys did see this chart, it did fall throughout the rest of the day, but I was completely okay with taking off the full share size there at a win. Second trade of the day, this one's not actually on the scanner because it's a recent IPO, and IPOs take a little bit to get into the scanner mix based on the data feed, but I was watching 150 there. It flushed 150. I got long, only 10 shares, because I knew this one had the potential to make a much bigger flush, so I was willing to start real small, and then if it made a bigger move, do a few more ads than I normally do. So got the quick starter position there of 10 shares. I know, right? It's 10 shares, but it's moving points at a time, so you can still make a little bit of money if you get a nice move in your favor. At this point, I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I'm in here just above 149. Where would I like my ad position to be? And I'm thinking if it breaks down through 147 towards 146, so another 3 points down or so, down towards that 145 is where I'm considering the zone for my next ad. And you guys know, as I always say, how I feel about longs. I absolutely hate them. I have no patience for them whatsoever, even though they work pretty much just the same, just generally a little bit slower. So I'm feeling pretty good about it because it hasn't broken down much further from my entry. It's starting to just kind of wiggle here right where it was at 149. Gets a little bit lower there, but nothing really. If we're looking at the chart here, nothing much at all. So I'm not adding at all yet. It still hasn't even gotten down to the zone I was thinking about putting in a bottoming tail there. So I'm starting to think about where I want to put my sell order out. I'm looking at it at first, I think around 152, but then I settle on if it just gets up through 151 a little bit, I'm going to take it there. So I put the order out. You can see it on the screen here, the limit order at 151.16 for all 10 shares. If it just wants to pop up there, I'll take it, move on with my day. Say I got to trade RIVN when it was still a brand new IPO as well. It's starting to just not do much here. I'm actually thinking about just taking it off and changing it out. You'll actually see I almost move my line there on the chart right at the end. I'm just about to move it, and it does a little bit of a spike here to actually get me out on that cover. So we'll see. We'll watch that happen out here before we move on to the next trade. Yes, there's 4 trades today, so I'm seeing it wiggle. I'm seeing it struggle to get up through 151, and here comes my cursor. I'm about to move the line, and then pop. It pops up there real quick for just a small $20 win, but hey, I'll take it. It's better to trade super small size and not have that FOMO of missing out on a trade that you thought was valid than to not take it all and then FOMO into something later. So next trade of the day was on EYPT. You can see this one starting to hit on the scanner below me. It's currently at a 25. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I want a little bit more out of this one just based on what it's done. So get the starter there at 1770. Certainly willing to add into this trade. And some of these lower price ones, I want to be able to get a little bit more aggressive on them when it gets past my first 2 entries. That's kind of something I'm going to be working on going forward here in the future. So got the first entry there in EYPT 1770. I was actually sitting there 1740. I had a limit order ready to click the buy button if it broke down through 1740. I didn't put it out there initially. I just kind of waited, hoping for a nice break through 1740, and then I was going to take it once it did that, but it doesn't do it. It kind of bounces right there at 1740. So I'm watching it, I'm like, all right, what's this thing gonna do? It almost breaks 1740 again, hangs up one more time. So I actually, once it bounces again, I end up putting the order out there at 1740 just in case it gets me down there and gets a quick little 1740 hit and fill. It does not end up doing that, and it keeps going a little bit further. So I add in there, got the add in there at about 1815, which looking back was probably a little bit too low there on the price, but it was definitely a good candle, but I just missed the price by a little bit. So I now have 200 shares of EYPT at an average of 1793. And once again, we're looking for the same type of deal here. We want to get the cover on EYPT below both of the entries. So you can see the scanner saying this thing's way too high right now, way too high right now. It's up in the 35s, 36s on the scanner, which is a pretty big number, especially for a $17 stock. To be making that kind of move is a high alert. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. It's starting to pull back a little bit, getting towards my original entry. I go ahead and I throw an order out there for all 200 at 1760. If it can get down there and give me a fill, I'll go ahead and take another win out of this one. Already up over $100 on the day. This will just add to it if we can get down there. And there's the fill at 1760 for plus $65. So pretty happy with that one overall. Could have done a little bit more of a hold there, but I was just happy to take it at this point in the day. And there's one final trade here on ZEV. It made a big spike here, and you'll actually see it looks like I hesitate here to take it, but I actually had to pay for locates on this one. I think it was $2 for the locates there. So get a little starter there at 954. I was waiting for that pop through 950. Got a little higher than that. And then once I saw the chart and it got up to 970, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to throw this thing out. If we can get down here, I'll just cover it out for a quick little win, and that's what I do right there at 930, what is that, 38, something like that, 938. So just a small win there in ZEV, and this one's actually going to crash all the way back down to 9 and below just a few minutes later, but that's okay. It was late in the day. It was like 11:45, something like that, 11, maybe 11, maybe earlier, maybe just after 11, but taking that one there. So ending the day with that trade and finishing up the trading day plus 183 today, going 4 for 4. Beautiful alerts off the scanner today. There was even a few that I didn't get, a few that I missed, so I was really happy with it overall. I'll take it. We'll move on to tomorrow. Make sure if you guys want to check out the scanner or the trading journal or the funded trading account, you check out the links down in the description below. I'll see you later.